Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at something kind of freaky, not gonna lie, microplastics. But, and this is the kicker, not the usual places, like in our food and water. You sent over this article, right? Startling discovery. Scientists find microplastics in infant organs at birth. And whoa, definitely got us thinking about this stuff in a whole new light.
Yeah, no kidding. We usually focus on what we ingest, but this Rutgers study just came out this month, October 2024, adds a whole other level of, concern, to say the least. They found microplastics in the organs of newborn rats after birth.
Lungs, liver, I even saw brain in there. And this is after the moms were exposed while pregnant.
And here's the thing. We've known for a while that these microplastics, like we're talking fragments so small you wouldn't even see them, are everywhere. Oceans, mountains, everywhere. It's almost like, and this is a scary thought, plastic dust has settled over, everything.
Okay, that image is both kind of cool and totally terrifying.
Yeah.
And we've seen the headlines. It's not like they're harmless.
Nope, not at all. Tons of research links, microplastic ingestion to, scary stuff. Cancer, inflammation, messing with your immune system, even heart problems. It's a long list of bad news.
So they're everywhere. Bad for us. Got it. But this Rutgers study, it's in Science of the Total Environment. They didn't stop at just immediate effects. They wanted to see if microplastics could actually hang out in the body, even after birth.
And that's where it gets really wild. They didn't have the rats eat or drink the microplastics. They exposed pregnant rats to aerosolized plastic. So basically breathing it in.
Hold on. So you're telling me these rats were living in plastic smog?
Pretty much. 6 pregnant rats, 10 days of this plastic-filled air. 2 weeks after they gave birth, they looked at 2 of the newborns.
Okay, I am not liking where this is going.
And get this, they found the same type of plastic from the mothers in the baby's organs. Lungs, liver, kidneys, even the heart and brain.
Wait, back up a second. So these tiny plastic bits went through the mother's blood, then the placenta, and ended up in the baby's organs. I don't know, that's kind of wild, right?
Yeah, it's a pretty significant finding. And it's especially concerning because, get this, rats and humans have a similar type of placenta. It's called a hemochorial placenta.
Hemochorial placenta. Okay. You're going to have to break that one down for me?
Sure. Basically, it means there's a barrier, right, between the mother's blood supply and the fetuses. So they don't, directly mix. And the fact that these microplastics still got through, bypass that safeguard, that's a big deal.
Okay, yeah. Now I'm officially creeped out. But I mean, it's still just rats, right? Does this automatically mean the same thing is happening with human babies?
You're right, it is an animal study, and more research is, always needed, of course. But that similarity in placentas, we can't just ignore it. It raises some serious questions, it could be happening in humans, too.
So we can't just be oh, it's just rats, and go about our day.
Exactly. And if that's the case, then we're talking about, possibly serious consequences for babies, right? Their development, their lifelong health. It's a lot. And it's not just about what you're eating or drinking anymore. It's in the air we breathe. It's kind of a lot to wrap your head around.
Yeah, it's a bit unsettling, for sure. This study was looking at, breathing it in, but what about all the other ways we might be exposed to microplastics every day, and we don't even realize it?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's something that Phoebe Stapleton, she's the lead researcher on this study, she really stresses this point. The article actually quotes her saying that, without really understanding how microplastics behave and their long-term effects, creating policies to protect ourselves is almost impossible.
It's how do you regulate something you don't even understand?
Exactly. It's I don't know, trying to catch smoke. We can't just slap a filter on the planet, Although that would be nice, wouldn't it?
Sign me up for Planet Filter. But seriously, where do we even start? More research is great, but what do we do right now?
Well, we could start by maybe figuring out which plastics are the riskiest. The ones that are most likely to hang around in the body and actually cause harm. That's where we might need to get a little more, picky about the types of plastics we're using, that we're allowing.
So we're talking a plastic hierarchy now. Some
Yep.
plastics are good, some are bad?
Well, it's not quite that black and white. But think about it. We already do this with some plastics, like BPA, right? We figured out it was bad, so we have BPA-free stuff now. It's regulated. This could be, the start of something similar with these microplastics.
So basically figure out which plastics are the worst offenders, then focus on, cutting those ones out.
Yeah, exactly. And that might mean stricter regulations, maybe, or finding new materials that are safer. Or even just like rethinking how we're making stuff in the first place.
It's kind of overwhelming though, right? Like, am I going to need a chemistry degree just to buy a toothbrush?
I get it, but that's why awareness is so important. The more we know about the risks, with different plastics, the better choices we can make. And that kind of pressure, like from consumers, it can actually lead to change. Companies notice that stuff.
Yeah, true. So, I mean, we're probably not going to completely ditch plastic anytime soon. Like, can you imagine?
Right.
But this study is definitely a wake-up call. It's not just about, like, reusable bags and water filters anymore,
It really shows just how much of a problem microplastics are and how important research is, especially for, infants. Their little bodies are still developing. They're way more sensitive to this kind of stuff.
It makes you wonder what other ways we're exposed to these things without even knowing it. This study was about breathing them in, but what about, like, all the stuff we touch? Clothes, carpets, our furniture, even kids' toys. It's all plastic these days.
Exactly. And that's a huge question. We just don't know enough about how much our skin might be absorbing or what that means in the long run. That's another area where we need way more research.
It's a lot, that's for sure. But hey, they say knowledge is power, right? The more we know, the better we can protect ourselves and future generations. So listeners, pay attention to the plastics in your life and don't be afraid to, demand better from the companies making this stuff, because this problem isn't going away on its own. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. See you next time.